Good morning. Welcome to A Matter of Balance. My name is Julie Ward. I hope you had a chance to look at the exercises we did last week, maybe 2-3 times during the week, and perhaps you discovered maybe strengths you didn't know you had, and maybe weaknesses, maybe on one side of the body compared to the other. Maybe range of motion was limited, or I hope you did make some discoveries about yourself. But when you find a weakness or a limited range of motion, instead of thinking, well, I need to limit my life, my lifestyle, my activities, and accommodate your schedule, perhaps even clothes you wear, because you can't get something on as easily over your head or your arms behind to put a coat or a sweater on. So instead of beginning to accommodate, I want you to take a different approach and think, what can I do about this? Is there something I can do about this? So again, we're going to take a look at all possible joints, and remember that movement is not only maintains what we have, but helps to improve our mobility, our strength, our flexibility. Movement is very healing to the body, and only you can move your body and choose to move your body in a responsible, deliberate way that brings about good healing, improves the circulation, and moves that precious synovial fluid around in our joints. So let's get started. Find your comfortable chair, move your hips to the front of your chair. On the edge, separate your feet so that you have a good foundation, and lift and work on that good foundation posture. Squeeze your shoulder blades gently, lift the diaphragm, and make sure you pull those ears back over your shoulder. All right, let's begin. Starting with our feet, our foundation. I want you to lift your heels right up off the floor as high as they'll go, and then lift your toes up. And as we rock from back to front of that foot, creating mobility in the ankles, releasing the stiffness there. Those ankles can be stiff when we get up in the morning. And as we take those first steps, we notice it. But this will help to increase the mobility, the movement in that ankle joint as we lift up and down. And remember that synovial fluid is being released around those bones, around the joint as it separates and pulls apart, and that fluid bathes the joint for lubrication. Now pick your toes up and turn your knees in and lift your heels again. Turn your knees out and lift your heels again. Coming down. All right. Now we want to press in here and get that good squeeze for the inner thigh strength. Get up as high as you can, and we've begun to activate the hips now. That in and out motion, that round ball and socket joint movement there. One more. Lifting, and then place your feet back down. Now let's just take some pedaling up and down a little quicker, encouraging more blood flow into the feet. And you know that blood has to move against gravity to come back up to your heart, to get more oxygen to go back down to your feet. And so we're encouraging that muscle action, massaging, helping that blood flow down to the feet, back up to the heart. All right, now let's take a leg lift and place it down, and then the other. Now can you maintain that good posture? Check your posture if you started to collapse. Lifting tall, and as you lift, we're isolating the work right here into the quads, strengthening these big muscle groups and also in the lower abs. All right, now lift your knee, make a sling with your hands, just lacing your fingers together, and let the weight of that leg rest right here in your arms. Now extend your leg out wherever you can go and bring it back in. It may not go straight, you've lifted it a little higher, but this is a nice stress-free way to work the mobility of that ankle. You've taken the weight off the joint by holding it up, and as you open and close the knee, again working on that full range of motion, whatever's possible in that joint, placing the foot down and taking the other. All right, try not to collapse. Lift your body up tall. That's going to take some action there in your posture muscles. And then open and close this leg. This would be a nice exercise to do. Perhaps you wake up one morning, those knees are a little stiff. maybe even swollen from some activity you've done or arthritis. But this is a nice way to approach that knee, getting the weight off the knee joint and then opening and closing to encourage that release of synovial fluid. Now place that down. Staying tall in your posture, let's move into the hands and open and close. As tight a grip as you can. Open those fingers, spread them apart. We're going to increase the mobility in those fingers and the joints there. And think of all the things you use your grip strength for. You don't want to lose that grip strength, so keep working to keep that grip nice and strong. You're increasing blood flow into your lower arms. Those are the muscles you use that move your fingers, because we don't have muscles in our fingers. All right, leave your hands out, relax your fingers, and go for that big wrist circle. Now, keep the chest up. Take it slow. We don't have to move quickly. And as you move those fingers around, there might be a little rotation in that arm. That's okay. That's going to happen. Reverse and go the other way. Make that big circle. Bigger circle comes when you relax your fingers. Now bring your fingertips up to the ceiling and then back down. Trying to keep the fingers straight, working from the wrist. And right about now, you might notice those arms are getting heavy as we work against the force of gravity. So the shoulders are getting stronger, but let's go ahead and bring them down nice and smooth. Don't give gravity your benefit, and then shake that out. All right, we're going to use one hand against the other to get more into that wrist stretch. Bring your hands together. Keep your elbows lifted to activate your shoulders. Slide one hand up higher than the other, and then begin to gently press all of the fingers back. And make sure that little finger, see how it can let go? I want you to make sure all four of those fingers are right there in the palm of your other hand. And as you press back, you're going to notice that lengthening in your lower arm, that stretching there, keeping those muscles pliable, flexible as they work to keep those fine motor skills into your fingers. All right, let's go back on this side now. All the fingers pressing back. Feels pretty good. That first time you feel that release. And don't be harsh about it. Be gentle as you begin to press. Now let's go back to the other hand and go to the thumb. Just a gentle press of the thumb. If there's any discomfort in those fingers, don't push so far or don't push at all. You be the judge of that. Now let's go back to the other side. Pressing the thumb, making sure we get all of those lower arm muscles activated and working. Now, lace your fingers together. You can keep them this way. If it's not too uncomfortable, invert your hands and press them forward. Now, if that doesn't feel well right there, you can turn your hands back this way. But if you can, push them forward. It's pretty traumatic for the hands. Lift up and try to bring your arms back behind your ears, pulling back, lifting upward at the same time, and then coming back down. All right, let's bring the arms in, release that for just a moment. You may have jewelry on, rings that are keeping you from getting what you need, so readjust, lace, invert if you can. All right, here we go. Breathe in as you lift up. Now I want you to lift up, pull your ribs off your hips, pull back as far as you can, and then keep lifting up, coming forward, and release. All right, one thing you might not be thinking about is your core. I want you to pull your belly button in toward your spine this time as we push forward. And as you lift those arms, pulling the belly button toward the spine is going to support that low back, lifting up. Now try this. Without ducking your head, can you bend your elbows and slowly come behind your head? Keep your hands clasped, elbows wide, and pull your elbows in. We did this last week. And then open, squeeze between your shoulder blades. There's your strength. And now as you bring the elbows in, we're stretching across that upper back. And this helps to keep those shoulders mobile So you can put those shirts over your head, those t-shirts, so you can reach back and get coats on, sweaters on, and just keep that motion, that mobility, that wellness deep into that shoulder. All right, let's open out here. Open your arms, bring them down. Take a nice big breath. Breathe in. It's a lot of work. And exhale. Remember, we're breathing in. Pull the air down to the bottom of your lungs where most of that oxygen exchange takes place. We're going to get as much oxygen into our system as we can. Now exhale. Leave your arms right here. Turn your palms down and let's take some small circles. They're quick, they're small, and they're going to build strength into your shoulders. Now let's go the other way. Keeping your arms extended right at shoulder height. And let's forward again. Keep your chest up nice and tall. And back one more time. Excellent. Now, slowly bring those arms down. Take hold of your chair. Walk your feet in just a little here. They're still separated, about hip width apart. I want you to lift your hip, either side, lift it up off the chair, but check your heels and make sure you don't lift your heels. I know that's probably the first thing that lifted, but try to use these muscles right here around your hip to lift and then lower. It's not a big lift, and you should notice a little pinching in right here at your waistline as that hip lifts up and pushes inward and down. Now try to keep your shoulders still. You don't want to rock from side to side. One thing that might help is taking your hands on the same side as the hip lift and then shifting to the other side. So now if you keep the hips moving, we're going to isolate the work there into those muscles and by keeping the heels down. So keep those heels down, lift the hips. Feels pretty good. Let's do one more on each side. Lifting and coming down. One more. Up and down. Now release those hands down. Shake it out. Take hold of your chair. Now we're going to repeat something we did last week here. I want you to start by pushing down on your chair. You don't have to make any extra effort to lift your hips. Just push with the chair and then release. So we're going to put some stress, positive stress into that wrist. It's going to help with your bone strength. That's a weight-bearing exercise in those wrists. And then release. But you're going to notice the strength moves up your arms. You're using those muscles across the chest even and into the upper back as you push and release. Now if you're comfortable, walk your hips off the chair. You may just choose to stay here and push on the chair. But begin to push. Take your feet out just a little and get your hips off the chair and then walk your feet back in. It's a little scary maybe. It's your total body weight. You're walking out, supporting with those hands like that. Now if you're comfortable with this, bend your elbows. We get into those triceps, the back of the arm, pushing back up, coming back into the chair. If you need to release your hands, if that gets too much for the wrist, we prepared the wrist. We did those circles, those presses, so they're ready for this work. Walk out again, and this is going to increase your upper body strength into your shoulders, your upper back, your triceps. And let's do one more. Walking out. You go as far as your shoulders are going to allow, but remember you have to push back up. That's the tough part, pushing up against the force of gravity. Going down, not so bad. All right, shake those arms out. Still perched on the edge of your chair. Take this arm now. We have another move for the shoulder that works that full range of motion. So we want to go slowly, straight arm, right by your ear, and coming back. Whatever you can do. Remember, we're working all possible joints, the biggest range of motion we can. And so we're maybe maintaining this movement. Maybe you're trying to increase your mobility in your shoulder. Let's go on the other side. Movement produces more movement. So let's begin to move slowly, deliberately, thoughtfully And if there's any place where you feel discomfort, you know you can pull back, maybe not so big a motion, or you can stop the exercise completely. You're in charge. Now lift both arms up and reach back. You're doing for your shoulder what nobody else can do. Reaching up, taking charge of your shoulders, of your wellness there. Now let's reverse that. Can you reach back and come forward? A little different motion. Take your hands on your knees. Now use that same hip lift without lifting your heels and walk your hips back to the back of the chair. All the way back. All right, when you get back to the back of the chair, enjoy that rest you have there, but keep your posture nice and tall, and let's again fill up the lungs. Big breath. Pull it deep, maybe a little more. Now exhale. And you know what? You probably can blow a little bit more out, extra effort. Remember what we blow out, we're cleaning out the lungs. One more. Big breath in. Strengthening the capacity of the lungs there. Big exhale to clean out the depths of those lungs. All right, now bring your legs in. Let's take one leg out, point the toe down, stretch the top of your ankle, and then pull your toes back and push your heels forward. All right, we did this one last week too, but you know, it's good to repeat these exercises. It's good to keep them in our body. They work every time. And right now we're contracting those lower leg muscles, relaxing them, pushing the blood flow through there. And let's take the other side. You've also got that big tendon, that Achilles tendon. It anchors into this low leg muscle under your heel. And so it has an elastic quality, so it's good to stretch that tendon as well. It's going to make your walking more comfortable. All right, let's take them both. Holding the legs up requires abdominal toning. Work right here in the quads, and I know you feel that. Up and down we go. Now let's bring them down. All right, this next exercise is going to be a challenge. Extend your leg and keep your seat anchored. Take your leg out to the side and consider that the bottom of the circle we're trying to make. So see what circle you can do. It's going to be very limited, the range, because we've anchored the hips to the back of the chair. But it's a big strengthener. So we get the quad strength, the glutes, the abdominal, the front of the body here. Think of this as the front of your back as we strengthen. I don't know about you, but my circle looks kind of like an egg. Let's try the other side. You'll discover probably, oh, I'm a little better on that side. You'll probably discover that it's different on each side of your body. We usually have a dominant side. One might be stronger, one might be more flexible. But see what you can do with this circle. And don't be discouraged if it's small. It should be. It's not going to be big. All right, put your foot down here. Now let's take both legs up. Take them out. Try not to let them drop. Bring them back together. And then slowly bring them down. All right, lifting two legs off the floor. Great abdominal toning. That lower abs getting stronger. And as you take the legs out and in, we get inner and outer thigh strength here. We need those muscles strong. These also help support the knee as well as these quads here. Let's do one more. Up and out. All right, bend your knees, cross your legs, sit tall, extend your legs. Now, this one takes a little concentration. I want you to think deep in your body. You have a sphincter muscle, a round ring-like muscle. Think about whistling. When you pucker your lips to whistle, that's what that sphincter muscle is shaped like. So we want to get into the sphincter muscle that controls the opening of your bladder. And I want you to begin to tighten it. I want you to squeeze your seat together. Your seat will pop up a little bit. Squeeze your legs together, but then go deeper into that body and find that sphincter muscle that controls the opening of your bladder. Tighten it and lift upward. We don't want to push down on the pelvic floor muscles. We want them to stay strong and support the heavy things above. Now release. That takes a lot out of you, doesn't it? Let's try crossing the leg the other way. It's not so much what the legs are doing, but it does help us to get inside the body deeper. Now begin to squeeze seat together. Now get inside, think upward, squeeze and tighten and close off the opening of that bladder. Hold it for just a few seconds, but don't hold your breath, and then release. Now let's go again. You might have heard of this exercise as the Kegel exercise, but you know, every muscle keeps its size, its tone, its function through movement. So we have to exercise this muscle if you want it to function well. Tighten. Now if you're not sure, if you're squeezing, let's go again, change your legs. If you're not sure you're squeezing the right spot, the next time you're in the bathroom urinating, you need to stop and start the flow of urine just for a couple of times to see what that feels like, and then you'll know what that feels like to practice this exercise. Squeeze. Hey, if you don't take charge of incontinence and leaking, it's not going to get any better. But we have the tools we need, the knowledge we need to work on that. So maybe that exercise you could do 2 or 3 times a day, at least 10 times each time, if that's something you struggle with. And if you're not struggling with it now, you probably will later if you don't address it. Remember, we maintain strength of the muscle and we can bring it back as well. So remember that exercise. All right, walk your feet out. Let's take a big breath after that. It took a lot out of me. Big breath in and out. All right, let's review those 3 ways we work the spine. Take hold of your chair, pull your chest forward, got your legs separated so you're bracing with those feet. All right, there's your balance in the chair. Now squeeze your shoulder blades inward. Get as far as you can go, and then tuck your chin, round your back, and roll up 1 vertebra at a time. That should feel pretty good. Let's go again. Moving slowly, deliberately. Your movement right now is in the hip joints, the ball and socket joints. Chin lifted just where you're comfortable. Now tuck your chin, look right into your chest, round your back, pull your belly button into your spine, and slowly roll upward. A lot of us have back discomfort. A lot of it could be from our posture, so we want to continue to work on that. But we have to move the back. We have to move it in ways that it's supposed to move. This is a very natural move for your spine. Now let's go over to the side. Another natural move for your spine, a sideways lateral flexion of your spine. Just go as far as it feels good. I want you to keep both shoulders pulled back, particularly this top shoulder. Don't let it pull forward. And just reach down. I like to go down the back rung of the chair, the back leg of the chair here. All right, get where you can go. Oh, doesn't that feel good? Coming on up. Not only the spine, but you know, the muscles around the spine are being strengthened. You get that flexibility, but what do you think brings you up? Right here, these muscles, back to front. Remember the obliques. They tighten and tone, that gives you that waistline. Now let's go again. This time add an arm. It's going to feel good. Bring it right over by your ear. Maybe a little stretch here. Doesn't that feel wonderful? Now bring that arm in front as we once again investigate that shoulder movement. Now reach back up, using the strength of those obliques to bring you up. Let's go on this side. Bracing with your feet. Now check your hip. Is it in the chair? Make sure both hips stay in the chair, and we reach to the side. Oh, that's a wonderful feeling. Now come on up. Let the arm, it looks like the arm brings you up. Now take your back off the chair and let's get to the third way the spine moves. Turn and look. Now anchor your hips into the chair. Anchoring the hips brings the isolated work in the spine as we turn. So we're gaining more mobility, but you know the disc between your vertebrae, they're sponge-like discs, and they will absorb and discard moisture, water, like a sponge when you move. If you don't move, they dry out, and you know what a dried sponge does, it deteriorates. But when you soak a dried up sponge in water, it plumps up. So that's what you're doing now. Only you can do this. So continue to work that spine. Watch your hand as it goes. Let's turn it up this time. Get the neck involved and know that you're isolating that work, bringing fluids into the disc, plumping them up so they'll do their job better to cushion. Another big breath. And out. All right, this time bring your arms up. Now remember, don't duck your head. Bring your hands behind your head and clasp here, but don't pull on your neck. All right, continuing that back work, bring your elbow over to the opposite knee, tuck your chin, and then come back up. Just go where you can. Another one for mobility in the spine. Move slowly and go where you can. Your body responds positively to any effort you make here. So it doesn't matter if you're touching the knee or not, you're gaining that mobility in your back. Let's go one more time and come up. All right, let's take a little challenge here. Keeping your back against the chair, we're going to lift the hip. Now using the hip muscle, we're going to lift the knee now and turn. You don't want to take your back off the chair, but you can twist and see if you can reach that elbow towards your knee, or actually your knee to your elbow. So now it's more of a hip flexibility exercise as we increase mobility there. And you notice I'm not touching. I'm keeping my back against the chair, but it's a great way to strengthen the legs, the hips, and even those abdominals. Place it down, release. All right, let's bring the hands down, reaching out. Another back strengthener as we work against gravity. Reach up to the ceiling. And now enjoy that stretch right across the chest. Doesn't that feel good? So good, we're going to do it again. Reach your fingers down. Out to me. Now notice your feet pushing into the floor. Bracing, strengthening. Come up. And we get that shoulder work. Once more. Now let's try this. If it doesn't work, if you're not in a chair that's going to allow this, it's okay. But see if you can pick one knee up and then the other and kind of squirm to the front of your chair. And when you get to the front, place one foot down then the other. Now if your chair didn't allow that, just scoot your hips forward right here. All right, now remember that letter C we talked about last week. Make sure that your knees are bent, and as you do, you don't want your abdominals, your stomach poking up. Pull in. If I were to come around and you thought I was going to punch you in the stomach, which I'd never do, you would pull in and round your back. So think of pulling belly button to spine. You're tilting your pelvis because of those round bones, rounding the shoulders in, the chin in. So now we've rested the back, and whatever we do, lifting the legs, is going to work your lower abs and not strain your low back. Let's start with something simple. Lift, and I want you to either hold on the front or underneath, wherever you're comfortable, and circle your ankle. What a marvelous exercise to release that synovial fluid into those joints, lots of joints in the ankle, lots of tiny bones. So just relax your foot and just get the biggest circle you can and go the other way. And if your hands are on front like mine, you're going to notice that muscle massage. The muscles are moving, not just in the foot, but all the way up to the knee. So it's a great exercise to increase the blood flow. This is the farthest place from your heart. So you're helping your heart get blood get oxygen down there so those feet stay alive. The color of your toenail will tell you if you've got enough oxygen into your feet. Can you feel your toes? Do you have feeling in your feet? So we need to keep that circulation there, to keep the toes working for balance. Ankle strength, so important for balance. So this is a $1 million exercise right here, and only you can do it for yourself. So big circle. If you notice your ankles are stiff, or maybe you have some fluid collecting around those ankles, these circles will help to move that fluid around. Hey, you've got to take charge of this body. So when you notice something, say, what can I do about this? Is there an exercise that would feel good for this? Movement always helps. All right, place that down. Either pull your hands back or just hang on here to the side. And we're going to take another one right now. You remember that leg circle we did with the hips to the back of the chair? Now that your hips are forward, I want you to notice what happens. Straighten your leg. Now try that circle. Now that the hip is not anchored to the back of the chair, we can move it in a much bigger range, and it becomes a range of motion exercise, increasing the mobility there. But look at the strength you're gaining into the quads here, the inner outer thigh, into your lower abs. Now keep pulling your belly button into your spine so that we keep the work there and keep the back relaxed. On the other side. Now if there's a great discomfort in your back right now, you're not able maybe to hold that pelvic tilt, a couple of things you can do. You can bend your knee if that works better. It'll take a little of the weight off the exercise. But if you're okay, just straighten the leg and go where you can. Doing what you can do. All right, one more. All right, are you ready for a challenge? Put your foot down now. Pull your belly button inward, bracing your core. Extend your legs out straight and begin this circle. They're smaller, but they're to build strength. Using both legs, go inward. Now take your legs out. Don't worry, just a couple more. Don't hold your breath. Bring your feet down, and that's enough. That was big work. All right, while we're here, let's take advantage of a good hamstring stretch. Pull your knee up. Now, I want you to hold your foot with the same hand. Your other hand still out of the way. You can hold on top of your foot, under. You can hold into your arch, wherever feels good. Try to extend that leg. Now, you're going to do better with this than you think you can. It's pretty amazing. But what we're after is the lengthening right here. And it's okay if the leg doesn't straighten all the way. We don't have to stay there all day, but just see what you can do as you continue to lengthen and lower. A reason we need these muscles to be long, they anchor close to your lower back. And so tight muscles here are going to keep the low back in a lot of tension. So this is going to help your lower back by increasing mobility here. Plus these hamstrings, we use them to walk. They're going to tighten up a lot when we walk. So we need to make sure we stretch them out. It takes stress off your joints when your muscles are more flexible. And it helps with injury prevention if those muscles are pliable and flexible. All right, that's enough of that. Put that foot down. Hands here. Scoot your hips back. Take a nice big deep breath. And exhale. Whew, glad to come up after that, aren't we? All right, let's turn to the side. Remember that D position, I call it. Pulling your hip up so that one hip is off the chair. The other foot directly under your hip so that we get that position to get the most out of the exercise. Now check your posture, no slouching. Pull up tall and press the knee out. All right, this is another $1 million exercise. This does for the hip what that ankle circle did for your ankle. A very unusual range of motion. We don't get it throughout the day with our walk, but it helps to maintain the health of that hip, the mobility in that hip, the strength in the bones, increasing circulation. We want it all. So press out as far as you can go, and then squeeze in toward the other side. Check your posture. Sometimes we focus on so much what we're doing, we begin to slouch again, pulling in. Now lift the knee without compromising your upper body. I want you to stay nice and still. Keep the knee pointed down, and as you pull back, you're going to increase strength in the hamstrings while we once again get the mobility in the hip. All right, put it back there, leave it, turn, try not to pick up your feet, and allow that to rotate in the hips. All right, foot right underneath, sitting tall, press the knee out, way out. Now when you come in, can you touch that other leg, squeezing inward? You're going to feel the tightening and then the opening for that stretch, and then come back in. We need this hip mobility, not just for the health of the hip, but to ensure that we're able to use those hips, possibly getting up and down off the floor. It's imperative we keep this motion in our life. One more, out and back in. Now sitting tall, lift your knee, pull it back, posture still. See, we isolate the work. You're getting stronger here while you get more mobility here. That's the way that works. All right, turn back to the front. Take a big breath. Breathe. And exhale. All right, now make sure your hips are to the front of the chair. We're going to stand again. So I want you to use these legs, put your stronger leg behind you. And I'm going to turn sideways again. And you might experiment one way or the other, or you can just pull your foot back here. But let's try to stand, make it an exercise into the legs, strength into the legs, by pushing our feet into the floor, keeping the body tall and rising upward. And then come back behind your chair. All right, I'm going to bring my book up here where I can see. All right, behind your chair, I want your feet underneath your hips. Good foundation for balance. If you just stomp your feet down, one then the other, they should land naturally under your hips. If you feel still don't feel balanced, take your feet a little bit wider. But you got the chair for support. I want us to lift the heels. We did this beginning with our seated position, but not bearing any weight. So now it becomes more of a bone strengthener as we lift and lower. Go as high as you can without rocking your ankles out. Very nice. Push all of your toes into the floor. Now let's pedal. One heel up, the other one. Up and down. Get that boosting so we get that lower leg strength. Coming up and down. Now, both heels into the floor. Bend your knees. Make sure they're pointing forward. In fact, it might be a good time to look at your feet. Come on up. Make sure your feet are pointing straight and not out to the side. So as they point straight, bend your knees. Your knees go the direction of your toes and then come up. That's it. You don't need to change your posture. You don't need to lean over your chair. But as you bend and keep your heels down, you're going to increase again the flexibility in the back of your legs, that Achilles tendon. Coming down and up. Now turn your toes out just a little bit. And let's remember that standing posture. Tuck the tailbone under just a bit. Lift in the diaphragm so you're not collapsed here, creating more space for these vital organs to function. More room in the lungs to expand. Shoulder blades in gently. Chin back, ears over shoulder. All right, this is going to be a big strengthener for the ankles. Lift your heels. We did that earlier. Now when you bend your knees with your toes turned outward, your knees will follow that direction and go out, go where you can. Now can you press back up with the heels still up and then put your heels down? Good. Demanding, isn't it? Let's go again. Lift heels. Now, I want you to notice what you can do to increase your balance. It's a little scary right here on the toes as you bend the knees, but as you push up, I want you to squeeze your seat together. Squeeze the glutes, biggest muscle group in your body here, and also the quads. But these are posterior core muscles. They help with your balance. So lift, bend your knees, knees out over toes, seat under. Now press up, squeeze your glutes, and then put your heels down. Great job with that. All right, bring your toes back facing forward. We're going to take a straight leg lift to the back. So choose a leg, put your big toe on the floor, and lift your heel. Just press heel toward the ceiling. Now your leg stays straight. Make sure your knee is straight. You're not bending it. And it may not lift high. Mine's not going very high. Keep your posture up. But as soon as you lift, you should notice the muscles that engage. The glutes, right there in your seat, your hamstrings, back of your leg here, and into your lower back. These are posterior core muscles. Take the other side. Lift tall, press to heel to ceiling, and release. Now bring it down with control. You don't want to drop it down, nice and smooth. But if we can build more strength into our posterior core, your balance is going to improve. But it's not just making the muscles strong, it's learning to engage these muscles while we're moving around. All right, now if you need to move back from your chair, we're going to lift the knee straight up in front of us. If your chair's in the way, you might want to turn to the side, but still lift that knee right in front, keeping that foot underneath the knee, and it'll find the floor a little bit quicker, and down. Now when you lift the knee here, you're using not just your quads, of course the mobility of the hip, but this lower abdominal work comes into play again. Lifting. Let's do one more. And just taking a foot off the floor is going to be a balance challenge. Now let's put those two moves together. Go back to the other side. Now lift the knee, pull it down, and then lift back. Straighten the leg here. Lifting knee up, bringing leg down, and pressing that heel to the ceiling. Now monitor the upper body. Stay nice and tall, belly button to spine, using your core strength to support your back. Up and back. Change sides. This is an excellent move for balance practice. Balance gets better when we do things that require balance. Practicing, you can improve your balance. We're building the strength we need into the core, but we're also practicing as we stand on one leg, lifting up and then pushing that leg behind us. All right, let's try another direction for the leg. This time when you pick the knee up, I want you to squeeze the leg across the body. Foot can come to knee, just as a reference. Try not to turn your hips, keep your hips forward, but squeeze the knee across. And then bring it down and lift to the side. Squeeze across and bring it down and lift. That's it. Let's keep going. Across and lift. Now you're calling on that ball and socket joint. Wonderful mobility there. Let's take this side across and lift. Once again, good balance for us. Squeezing your backside, standing tall. And notice it's not a kick, but we're lifting, controlling the movement, and that's enough. Now let's add something. I want you to squeeze across. Take it out to the side. Now just let it land to the side. And as it lands, bend your knee and press up. Let's take the other side. Hips stay still as we squeeze across. Bring it down. Lift wherever. Let it land to the side. Soften the knee, shifting your weight but keeping posture tall. Push against the floor. Draw the foot in. Let's go again. Across and lift. Place it down. We're going to add now a big circle of the arm. Remember, you're going around the face of the clock. Get this side. Draw your foot in. And let's go on this side. Across and lift. Control your landing, bend the knee, both feet pushing into the floor. Go around the face of that clock. Hey, let's try that again. One more each side. Across. It's a beautiful move. You know, it takes a lot of strength to move with that speed, that slow tempo. But it gives us more strength as we work with gravity. Bigger range of motion in the shoulder. Step down, circle, big move all the way around the clock and in. Let's take a breath after that. Breathe in and out. You know, it's good to take breaths throughout the day. Helps to clear your mind a little bit. Just get more oxygen up to your brain. So do that throughout the day. Expand your lungs, exhale fully, clean them out. All right, you remember that seat squeeze we did, getting into the bladder? You can also do this standing. So with your feet, again, under your hips, hold on to your chair. I want you to get tight in your squeezing here in your seat, but I want you to lift upward with your pelvic floor muscles, and then find that sphincter muscle, squeeze, tighten, and lift upward. So you can do this exercise in any position, and then relax. But start by squeezing the seat, and then lifting upward, getting deep inside to those muscles that open your bladder. And think of the times you could do this, even sitting in your car at a red light, maybe while you're talking on the phone, while you're watching TV, squeezing, lifting. But this is always a good thing to do. You need to take charge, again, of any weaknesses you see. You're the only one that can do this for you. Muscles need this exercise, this stimulus to keep their function. And then release. All right, we're going to come back. Let's try to tiptoe back to the front of our chair. Rise up on your toes. Come to the front. Now, can you keep your legs straight while you tiptoe? If you're not comfortable with that, just use your heel-toe walk. Now, I'm going to find the chair, again, with my legs. I'm going to find it front and side. Hang on, keep the body tall, and use my legs to lower. Once again, making it an exercise. All right, let's sit back in the back of our chair. Back here where we're comfortable but still supported. Belly button to spine, shoulders over hips, ears over shoulder. Bend an elbow and touch here and open back out. You may not think much about exercising your elbows, but you know they can get stiff. Opening and closing. I think one of the first time I noticed my elbows were stiff was trying to pull wet towels out of the washing machine. You know they're heavy when they're wet, your bath towels. When you reach down and start pulling those out, you'll want to make sure those elbows are ready, those arms are ready for that kind of work. Working around the house, it requires mobility and strength, more than we realize. Let's take them both now. Now, what's bending your elbow or your biceps? That's what's pulling that arm up. So as soon as you come up, the bicep pumps up, it contracts, getting stronger here. All right, notice when we lift the hands, there's no lifting of elbows. But now when we do lift the elbows, look what happens. The shoulders activate. You feel it right under your fingertips. Open wide. All right, squeeze your shoulder blades in. We're revisiting these posture muscles. Bring your fingers to the floor. There's that good stretch in the lower arms. Rotate in the shoulders. The fingers go up and come down. Feels good. Let's go again. Let's try something different. Touch here. Now reach across your body. Think of me as your mirror. Reach across. You look just like me. Now bring it down to your leg. Let's do that again. Touch. No elbow lift. Reach across. Now right here, if you keep your back into the chair, you get this nice stretch in your shoulder and your upper arm here. Let's go on the other side. Touch. Back anchored to the chair. Reach across. You're reaching probably to the corner. It's a diagonal reach. Let's do that again. Touch. Reach. And back to the knee. Other side. Touch. Reach. into the knee. Can we put that with our other movement now? Keep your elbows down, bend, moving slowly, deliberately, lift. There's the shoulder work. Open, upper back muscles, squeeze them together, opening the chest. Extend your arms, fingers to the floor. Now turn in your shoulder. Those fingers will end up to the ceiling and come down. Bring your arms forward, long arms. Do you know it's unusual for us to lengthen our arms during the day? Most of the time they're bent, so really stretch, but keep your back into the chair. Now bend your elbows, anchor your seat, keep your feet bracing, and turn and look behind you. And as we pull the arms back, both elbows are bent, but you get that rotation in your spine. Feels pretty good. Let's turn again. Turn and look. We look at behind us. So we make sure that neck turns as well. Anchoring your hips for isolation. All right, now without ducking, keep holding your hands. Bring them up overhead. Slide them behind your head, elbows wide. Now, can you get your elbows out of sight where you can't see them as far as you can? Now turn, keep your elbows wide, look to the side, and then come back. So now we're opening the chest, again, working to isolate that twist in the spine. Anchoring your seat is going to increase the strength of those pelvic floor muscles. Pelvic floor muscles support those heavy organs above the bladder, sitting there, and so we want it to stay strong for life. All right, open your arms. Now, take a big breath. Breathe in and out. Now bring your arms up to your shoulders. I want you to reach out and down as far as you can. A good back stretch, your feet supporting you in the chair. Bring your thumbs up to the shoulder, kind of like a robot. Turn and reach out and down on this side. And reach up. All right, now open your arms. We're going to reach around this leg. One big hug around your leg. Tuck your chin, round your back. Now as you lift up, keep your back inclined. I want you to straighten it. Lift your arms where you can. There's the shoulder strength. Now turn, release those arms, wrap around. There's a great big bear hug around your leg. And lift. That keeps the mobility in the back. And look how close you are to your feet. It's going to make sure that you can pay attention to the health of those feet, being able to investigate those toenails, see when they need trimming, reaching them, getting your socks on, your shoes, tying your shoes. It gets us to the feet. All right, now reach your arms down, reach out to me, and up, and open. Now pull your hips down just a little bit. Let's take that back stretch. All right, this is our back flexibility test. Scoot your hips forward. Again, pull either under your knee or just not on it, right below it. Tuck your chin and try to reach down, lifting your knee up. And you're opening up the spine behind you. Think of the openness in the back as you close in here, getting shorter in front, longer in the back, and come down. Hip mobility, back mobility. It doesn't matter if you touch or not, it's getting better. You can do this in the bed when you wake up in the morning. Flat on your back, lifting your chin up, pulling that knee in. All right, separate your feet. Take your fingers back down, scoot your hips back, and reach up all the way to the ceiling. Open your chest and come back. Take a big breath. Breathe. And exhale. Beautiful. Hey, let's try some of that with music. So just sit comfortably in your chair. And let's just try a little music with that. It's always fun to move with music. We're going to start on this side. We're going to mirror. Sit tall, shoulders over hips. Keep your chin in. Let's start with this hand. Touch your shoulder, reach across, and come down, and the other side. Now both hands, lift the shoulders, lift your elbows and open. Now bring your fingertips out to the floor, rotate in the shoulder, come down, straight arms, turn and look, reach forward, long arms, turn and look. Now up over your head, don't duck your head. Elbows wide, turn and turn. Now remember that big reach out and down. Coming up to the other side, reach out and down. Now can you touch both walls? Reach wide, come over and bear hug. Tucking your chin, lift up, and to the other side. Nice big hug. Lifting all the way up, bring your arms down and bring your feet together. Now if you need to scoot your hips forward, we're going after that back stretch again. So tuck chin and lift. Place it down, other side, lift. Now take your feet wide, dive down like you're going in a swimming pool. Brace with your feet, reach up to me, open your chest, and we start again. Touch here, reach across. Now keep your back into the chair. All right, bending the elbows, isolating biceps. Now into the shoulder work. Open your arms, squeeze that upper back. Open, fingers down, rotate, straight arms. Turn and look. And reach forward. Beautiful. Lifting your arms. No ducking. Bring the hands back. Now turn. Elbows stay wide. Let's do that again. Shifting, keeping the hips down. Lower your arms down. And breathe. And exhale. Excellent, excellent work. All right, we got that total body massage today, head to toe. And again, I would like for you to look at those exercises, look at this video again a couple of times this week. Enjoy, keep moving toward your weaknesses. Think, what can I do about this? It's all helping to improve, and as we make wise choices, careful choice, we can extend those productive years, remain independent as we move about our world, and just our everyday activities, keeping our bodies strong so we can even be flexible enough to get our own clothes on, our shoes, our socks, moving around in an environment as pain-free as possible. So have a good day, have a good rest of the week, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you.